is Jeopardy!
Welcome to Jeopardy, the Gender and Sexuality Edition. Today, we will be introducing you to a new teaching resource that is designed to help engage students with ideas and issues relating to gender and sexuality. This twist on the classic game Jeopardy aims to educate students on the nature and importance of diversity with a specific focus on gender and sexuality. The game will hone in on the different aspects of this issue, such as gender and identity construction, stereotyping, the influence of the media on our views of gender and sexuality, and the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex community. So what are the rules of this version of Jeopardy? The game that we are presenting follows the same conventions of the television show that it is based off, but with a few twists. To start, teachers are to divide their class of students into 4 even groups. Each group will then be given the opportunity to pick a box from the 4 available categories. The categories are labelled gender construction, stereotypes, media, and LGBTQI. Each box is a link to a question, which will have a prize value attached to it. Some of these questions will be multiple choice, as well as asking the students to make lists and brainstorm, as well as student-formulated responses to the provided multimodal resources in the game. Each question will have a set time for students to respond, and will begin after each question is read. The group with the highest amount of points accumulated wins the game. The game was designed with the intention of being played as a debriefing exercise, which would quiz students on what they may already know on gender and sexuality, whilst also exposing them to some new ideas and concepts which they may not have known. This game was specifically designed with reference to the preliminary depth study of personal and social identity, which is found within the Stage 6 New South Wales Society and Culture syllabus. The depth study focuses on the process of socialization and the development of personal and social identity in individuals, with gender and sexuality being identified as contributing factors. While this game was initially designed for operation within society and culture classrooms, one of its predominant strengths is its ability to be implemented into other KLA areas. The inherent structure of the game would remain the same, however other elements could be adjusted to be more in line with the KLA that it is played in. For example, in history classrooms, teachers could alter the game to be more aligned with a historical approach to gender and sexuality, and could examine how this diversity issue has been perceived by societies before ours. On top of this, the game is a template, meaning that if a teacher finds success with this game as a teaching resource, they may alter it further to teach other parts of their syllabus as well. The game draws upon theoretical research completed within the field of gender and sexuality in order to introduce students to new ideas which they may not have heard of before. Aspects such as asking students to identify the difference between gender and sex, what they think being a feminist might mean, and thinking about gender-constructed stereotypes even within the media, are all embedded in theoretical frameworks. These theoretical frameworks include child development processes and socialization of specific gender expectations and behaviours, as is discussed in the social learning theory that was developed by Albert Bandura, and movements such as radical feminism, which aims to change institutionalized norms set by a patriarchal society. The game also makes implicit references to the sociologists Matthew Foucault and Erik Erikson when discussing gender and sexuality. Erikson's theory of psychosocial development has been incorporated into the game as a way of providing students with an example of sociological theories that support ideas around gender construction through the processing of identity and those who struggle with it. Similarly, Foucault was added to the game to introduce students to the idea of queer theory, as well as to introduce them to the processes that society uses to deem whether or not they believe sexuality to be acceptable or unacceptable. It is our expectation that the game will prove to be a valuable learning resource that teachers can use to educate their students on the topic of gender and sexuality as a diversity issue. The interactive nature of the game ensures a level of class participation that will help instill the knowledge required to fully understand the nature of this issue and its prevalence in both schooling and society at large. In considering the theoretical frameworks explored by theorists such as Albert Bandura, Matthew Foucault, and Erik Erikson, we have aimed to ensure the game is grounded in theory and scholarly research whilst also being applicable in the classroom as a fun activity.